Well, hello and welcome to PM Express, that favorite hour of the evening where you should have finished your dinner by now, sitting back and waiting for the topic to be discussed, and we are looking at the double track rollout. Have you had any mishaps? Could we have done anything about it? We have more numbers than we have schools. That is the simple logic. We have more students than classrooms, more students than schools. And so in order for us all to fit in, we just split the timings. Some come in the morning, and then some come in the afternoon, or some come this month, and the other parts come that month. But the issue is now based on truancy. What happens to the children who are at home while the others are in school? When they get back to school, will they still be upbeat on the subjects that were taught? Again, what will then happen is those who enter school and then right after school get to write exams may have advantage over those who had a long break and have to come and join them to write the examination. But we are told that it's temporary. We're going to go back to a one-track system. Now I'm going to find out. If you have followed me, you know that the population is a major concern to me. So I'm saying, since the population is increasing and we are not building schools fast enough, how do we go back to a one-track system? Should we start arming ourselves for a triple track? Because it looks like, sooner or later, maybe 10 years down the line, we should have to be planning for a triple track system if we don't control the numbers that are coming in. Will this affect quality? It's another major thing that's on the table, and that's what we're going to discuss today. And we'll definitely come on the phone to find out from you if you've experienced any double track system, and if you are happy with it. If you have any concerns with it, we'll definitely want to hear your views. My name is Anansa Kwa, the fourth Chief of the Little Republic of Komu Edumasa. When I come back, we are looking at the double track rollout. Well, thank you very much for staying. And with me in studio is Kofi S. Sari. Sari is a warrior, National Education Campaign Coalition. Warrior, you're welcome.
Thank you, Nana.
Sari is a warrior, man. And then I have Dr. Prince Ama, lost but found, in-house education consultant who ran away, but we found him. Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you, Nana.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to have you back. Prince, let me get preliminary comments. I mean, how's the rollout going so far? Have you had any mishaps?
Obviously, this is the first day of the new system. And then our men on the ground have been feeding us information about the progress of the double track rollout. At this point, it's more about the placement than the double track, because it's more about the computer placement system and how parents are responding to the placement, and then also how students are being enrolled after getting their placement. So most of the issues are issues relating to placement, not necessarily double track, because the double track in itself is yet to start. However, I must say quickly that we've had concerns from the regions, good news and bad news. Good news includes we are reliably informed that exercise books are ready at the Regional Education Directorate, and so quite on time, so that headmasters can pick them up and then make sure that the kids get the books on time. Apart from that, we've also had reports of delay in supply of foodstuff. We are told that the National Buffer Stock Company, the agency responsible for contracting food supplies to senior high schools, have indicated that suppliers are 5 days from reopening to meet their supply date, or they have their contracts cancelled. School reopening on Saturday, for the Form 2 students. They are also part of the free senior high school. And so probably by Thursday, if most schools do not get their supplies, we'll have to call on NAPCO to begin getting contractors who are more serious to supply, because they've been in school since Saturday, but there is no food for them. So they are now eating the Form 3s who are fee paying. They are eating their food. So apart from that, everything is fine. And we are hoping that the rollout of the double track system will not be without any, will be without any unforeseen outcomes. Yeah.
Doc, what's the feedback so far?
Well, I think that the feedback is in respect of the placement. The placement, because some people had some schools that they were not comfortable with. You will see a student saying that, well, I got National, I wish I could get Wesley Girls. But of course, that has to do with the way they themselves selected the courses or the schools that they chose in the process of school selection during the BEC registration. But largely, I can say that the process has been relatively smooth compared to last year, one, and to the extent that the double track system is something new and innovative in our context, and given the extensive public, outcry, one would have thought that there would have been so many problems, in terms of doing the placement for track gold and track green. But I think that the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service have done exceedingly well in comforting some of us and reducing apprehension and anxiety that may be associated with the uncertainty of the whole process. What requires probably has to do, going forward, and I'm sure that we'll be going into much of these discussions, but going forward, a lot more stakeholder consultation and extensive public education on the processes, and especially on the selection process. And I think that many of the issues that people have raised in respect of school placement, which school they got and why they were placed there, somebody would say that my son got aggregate 15. He has a friend who got even aggregate 27, and they have got their aggregate 15 got a school to them that are relatively poor in terms of academic performance compared to those the person who had aggregate 27. All of them had to do with the process of selection. Because, for example, if you select a school, and you select a school plus a course, you have to select a school plus a program. And so if the school has even vacancy, but vacancy in, say, general arts, but no vacancy in science, and you choose science, automatically you are denying access.
So it takes you to
the next stage. Whilst that friend probably who got the 27 selected arts, so people there has to be much more conversation grounded at the grassroots, so people could understand the process in the selection, so that it will help in parents supporting their children in the selection process, ensuring that they select schools and programs that will be more easier for them to access the school they want. And probably going forward, the Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education may want to consider scrapping programs as part of the school selection process. Because I think that it is too early at that stage for the pupil to be thinking about what programs they should be doing. I think that the emphasis should be on the schools. So you select the school, and then once you get there, through some other mechanisms with the school and parent, you can then look at the subject or the course that you will be doing. In that case, we will be addressing some of the issues that came up during this particular.
I had better grades, but he got a better school.
Exactly. So we can consider only school, because the way the system works, the two have to work together. school and programs. So you chose science in, say, Archbishop Porter Girls in secondary, but Archbishop Porter Girls has vacancy for home economics, and so because you chose science, you are denied access for.
You go to your second choice.
Yes, your second choice.
In case you don't get one, you go to your third choice.
Exactly, and you will even end up, because of just the program you decided to choose, you end up not even getting any of the choices that you
just
you
in
had.
case.
Yes.
So, which means every school has a selected places for selected subjects.
Exactly.
It's not a subject per se. It might be with the cutoff for that subject, because some programs have high premium. Assuming today I was engaging someone who had 12, and the person chose, wanted to do science, and then she chose my Methodist girls, Manfi. First choice. She had 12. She couldn't make it to the science class there. Okay? She chose Ibri Sectec, second choice. That's where she landed. And the mother was so sad. She wants to go to Methodist girls. And I said, okay, fine, you're 12. Probably you could have gotten a Greek at Methodist High with the 12, but not science.
Exactly. So that's where the issue of the program comes in. And you know that if you look at the results in terms of courses or programs that the students selected, they chose, almost every school in Ghana does general arts. Almost. Few schools don't do science.
Yeah.
And so you have a large proportion of the students, a lot of them selected science and general arts. So one, it gives an impression that, everybody wants a child to be an engineer, a medical doctor, or a lawyer, and that also has implication on even the national economy itself. And so we may want to, and I think that I have had some conversation with some senior persons within the Ghana Education Service, and I'm very sure that it is something that is being discussed within quarters of the Ministry of Education and Ghana Education Service on the consideration to ignore the selection of programs, and so that we can concentrate on just selection of schools.
So if a school can take, let's say 1,000, they should take all 1,000. And then
once you're there, then they can,
Then once you're there, say, look,
a way of
you have to do science. You can't. I can't offer you science.
Exactly. So in that case, one of the issues will be that the schools may have to dictate programs to be offered for some students, because we take 1,000.
Won't you then get the problem of, well, if you're not going to give me science, then I want to go to my third choice.
You will get it. You get it.
You see, your third choice, the students select science in all the schools.
Okay.
First choice science, second choice science, third choice science, fourth choice science, and fifth choice science. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And so if you get say St. John's School in secondary, and you don't choose your subject, it means that you know that you want to do science. St. John's School does science, and so you go there, you are likely to get science. If you don't get science, assuming you don't get science, and say you get business, remember that in other schools that you might have selected, there was still the science, probably the science that you would have wanted to do, and if there's vacancy for science, they would have given to you. But I should think that to make it very simple, once you get to the school, probably the first term, and I think it brings us to the conversation on whether or not it's appropriate to begin to segregate our young people at courses or program level at that early stage. That's a very important policy decision that we need to make as a country. It is too early in the life of a 15-year-old to decide whether they want to do science and begin to box them in a certain corner.
Yeah, Doc, that's where I beg to differ with you. Your suggestion is that career guidance is now a process that begins from upper primary. Okay, so you begin to identify your abilities, your strength, your interests at the upper primary level. That's where career guidance begins. So within the GES, their counseling processes starts at that level. So as you go to junior high school, that process should be able to assist you. And I'm not saying that that process is fully developed, but then it is there to assist you to identify your strength and then your interests, and then also help you to begin to make your career choice at the junior high school level. So by the time you are writing your BCE your BCE exams, you should have an idea, with the support of not only your teachers, but your parents, have an idea about that career path that you want to chart, so that it makes it difficult for you not to have the luxury of choosing a career when you are approaching secondary school. So this system you're talking about will work perfectly for people who want to get the right school based on merit, based on the raw scores. You get your right school. But I, for instance, I might decide that I want to do science, okay? But I want to do the science in Achimota School. I choose Achimota School first choice, and I choose another school second choice. If I don't get Achimota School first choice, and they take me to the school B, I don't want to do science there. I prefer to do another subject in Achimota than the second choice. But someone also will say that, look, me, I want to do my business. I don't care about the school you take me to. If you don't get Achimota School business for me, take me to, let's say, another school again. Someone won't have any problem with it. So the system you're proposing will work perfectly for having a merit-based system based on the raw scores, putting you into the school strictly based on raw scores, without considering your program choices.
That's what I just...
But it will have an implication on the career choices of the students.
I was just going to ask you that.
Yes,
And they'll be forced to do programs that they don't have interest in, and it might affect their performance.
You see the point?
No, is there any way we can factor in option to accept? That's what option to accept.
Yeah.
Because there are those who say, look, I don't care the school, I'll do science.
I want to do science.
Or those who say, look, as for me, it's the school. Even if it's street sweeping, keep me in the school.
See, Nana, the point is that even we adults, you sit down and you feel that you should have done a certain program. That's the point I'm trying to make. Even adults will sit down and say, oh, I wish I had done this program whilst, So you have people who have done masters in a certain program, and they go back and say, no, I didn't need masters. Probably I should have done masters in marketing, and they go and do marketing. So that's why I'm saying that if adults, we face that problem. And so in many countries, the contemporary understanding is do not segregate at that early stage. You allow the students to do, in the secondary schools, they begin to engage with the curriculum, and then the interest comes in specific areas as they go along. So that's one thing that we may want to consider. We may want to think around.
You have a baby face. I don't know how old you are. But in our days, from Form 3 going into Form 4, you then had to choose. From 1 to 3, you did all the subjects. You did general science and everything. And then when you were going into Form 4, you then had to choose if you were going to do raw science or business or arts or whatever it is. From Form 4, then you choose, and then we all segregate. Are you saying we should cancel that thing and do general subjects all throughout?
No, that's not the point. I'm saying that, and when you refer to our days and years back, many years ago, and things have changed, and we are beginning to look at new models of curriculum development and fashioning education system that is responsive to the 21st century, the needs of the 21st century. And so all I'm saying is that we seem to have some problem with the program, in terms of the school placement. The placement, that's all I'm saying. And so, and of course, the placement is done based on merit. Based on merit. There are cutoff points, there are grades, there are raw scores that are all used as part of the algorithm to do the placement. And so if we decide that we want to do only schools, and probably at the school level, there could be some arrangement between schools and parents and teachers to try and do the placement there. That should be something we can be thinking around.
I think option to accept will solve all this problem.
Yes, that's
there's
fine.
an option to say, listen, if you don't get science in Achimota, would you still want to go to Achimota, yes or no? So that I say that, look, if I don't get science in Achimota, move me. Then I can't come back and say, oh, I chose Achimota, but you gave me Pope Jones. Because I've already taken that, look, if Achimota won't give me science, move me. If I say, if you don't get science in Achimota, would you want to stay? Yes, then you can give me a Greek or
no, but the
animal
child
husbandry.
has already chosen science throughout. What it means is that, because in all the selection, you have only one program. That's the point. You have only one program. So you have chosen general arts, and you have chosen general arts for all 5 courses. You can't choose general arts for Achimota and go and choose science for Pope Jones and go and choose business. No, it doesn't work like that. That's how the system works. So my thinking, is that with that issue becoming yes, we can solve the placement issue.
But Doc, you know what?
That.
The coalition that I am a member of.
Let me take a quick break and come back, because if Doc is saying that, then why would I come back and complain that, well, I had 12 and somebody got 27 and he got my place and I didn't? Because that's what we are trying to solve. Yeah. So let me take a quick break and come back. This is getting interesting. Hopefully, in the last 20 minutes, I could beg the producers to put the number online. So you at home can also share some of your technicalities. Don't go. Well, thank you very much for staying, and you definitely have to stay because this is getting interesting and quite complicated. So you need to stay tuned. But Prof, Doc, let me get you to clear this for me again. We're talking about the issue where one thinks, look, I had better grades than my sister, but my sister got the first choice, and I've gotten my second choice. And you were saying that we all chose science or we all chose arts. I was saying that, can't they give me the option to say, look, you chose science for your first choice, but you won't get it. Would you mind looking at general arts, or you want to move to your second choice? The option to refuse, so that I don't come back and tell you that, well, I got better grades than him, but maybe he got the school because he chose a different subject. Okay, so if I understand you, you're saying that the school selection is constant, but the program selection, the children should have option of choosing more than one course.
No, of varying it after being admitted, in case you don't get the science.
So I choose your school. You have a school.
You choose science. You go to Achimota. Achimota says you can't get science. Okay, then I can.
So I've come into AMA.
Yes, that's the point. So the issue is how you can accommodate or account for the two variables: the course or the program and the school.
No, the school becomes a constant because.
What if the student says that, look, I want science, regardless of where you put me?
Then they won't come back to hustle you.
Yeah, but
so I want science, regardless of where you put me.
Then you don't have a problem.
Okay.
You go to your second choice.
Then you go to your second choice. Now you come to your first choice, and then you
so you do any course.
Where they give you any course.
Yeah, you do it.
And then you have to do it.
Yeah.
But I think
more people are sentimental to a school than to their course.
Yeah, the school
at that level.
At that level, the school. People are much more interested in the school more than the program.
That is why, with the exception of those who want to do medicine, who want to do science, almost all the career.
That is why the argument of do we have to put the program on comes in again, because the interest in here is the school. So somebody is in, say, in national, or has been posted to national, going to do science. That's science. But that student wants to go to Wesley Girls to go and do science there, and not national. Well, of course, it's because there's abundant evidence of school effect on learning outcome. The fact that you are in a specific school has advantage on even how much.
And that's the point I wanted to raise, because we are discussing this issue because we have created various classes of schools. Okay, and the classes are not helping us. We
the categories.
Yes, the classes. There's a strata. Okay.
Grade A schools, grade B
C.
schools, and grade C
And then
schools.
we are now coming to terms with the fact that we need to upgrade the quality of the schools, even at the district level, even the grade C schools. Okay. We have done a paper yet to be published on how to sustainably roll out a universal free senior school policy. And we have indicated that, one, no universal free senior school policy can be rolled out where you have more borders than they. It's not sustainable because,
of course, cost implications.
Per unit cost of boarding education a day is more than $2. The feeding alone is about $1.27. And we are one of the highest in the world. The feeding alone is $1.27. So the only way to go is that let's begin to improve the quality of infrastructure, quality of teachers, quality of inputs, laboratory, etc. What makes a school a grade A should happen in Chifu Secondary School. So that if I live in Chifu and I get 6 A's, I will not be under the impression that I need to go to Adisadel to do science. If we don't approach this issue equitably and begin to appreciate that there's a huge, probably if you like, rural urban divide, because most of the good schools are all in the peri-urban and urban areas. If there's a huge rural urban divide in the distribution of education infrastructure, not teachers, because a teacher in the northern region, I mean, a school like the Secondary School might be better than a teacher in Presec, or might be committed than him. But in terms of the facilities and infrastructure and all that, if we approach education from the angle that we want to create equal opportunities everywhere and create an achimota in every school, it will get to a point, and it shouldn't be too distant from now, in the middle term or in the midterm, where you will have one good school in a district. President Kufuor started this some time ago, and I know the ministry is pursuing a similar agenda, hoping that the securitization of the GET fund will give it enough money to embark on this dream. But that is actually the sustainable way of ensuring that I won't want to move from Adenta, I won't want to attend WAS, and when I want to attend Presec.
Let's welcome Vincent Atefua, who's a PRO, Ministry of Education, who's joining via Skype. Vincent, you're welcome.
Thank you, my brother.
Very, very good. And I have in studio Kofi Esari, who's National Education Campaign Coalition. I have Dr. Prince Abba, Education Consultant. And Kofi is making a very, very poignant point as to trying to bridge the gap between the ABC schools so that we are all proud to go to the nearest school within our vicinity, so that we actually pride ourselves that, well, if I'm from Ajana, I went to Ajana Secondary, and I became something from going to Ajana Secondary. But those things, those cultures, are they not created by the schools themselves? Can they be created by like an external government? Is it not the school that creates that culture?
Well, I think that there are several factors that come into that. Apart from the school, all students making contributions to support the school, and probably
commitment of teachers
based on availability of resources, instructional resources, and learning materials. They appear to also be a symptom of the poverty-rich gap that we talk about. And you see that some schools are located in rural areas, and they appear to get more resources than the other. We can address that. We can address that by looking at the model schools, and that's what I think that the ministry appears to be interested in at the moment. I know of the Kuwaiti Fund coming in with about 41 model schools. So the attempt is to try and reduce the pressure on the so-called A schools. The A schools are not schools that are they have not been categorized on the basis of learning outcomes.
No. Facilities.
They are just on the basis of facilities. So,
and a certain culture. Because anytime we go to these, national quiz, they seem to all
but the culture is built on a history of academic excellence, or if you like, academic outcomes, okay, which is also a product of good facilities and inputs.
Let me engage Vincent a little bit, and I'll come back to you. Hello, Vincent.
My brother, how are you?
Very well. Vincent, let me, with you, I mean, there were a number of students who said they were not placed at all, apart from those who said they were placed in, where they didn't want. I mean, how come some, didn't get placement? What was the explanation to that?
Well, let me say a very good evening, cherished viewers and your brothers in the studio. It's true. As part of the policy guidelines of the Ministry of Education, by extension, Ghana Education Service, some students were supposed to be placed and some were supposed to be placed per the computer system. Those who will not be placed want to, as it were, have their own way of getting their schools, because as part of the policy, the Ministry of Education is not supposed to choose any school for anybody. And so if you misses any of the 5 schools that you chose, what happens is that you are being given the opportunity to do or have what we call the self-placement. For those who do not even qualify to have self-placement, what it means is that it's either they had 9 in core maths and in English maths. So in that instance, it means that you are disqualified admission. But students who had 9 in core maths and a better 4 in English maths, apart from 9, may be placed if and only if their raw score is not below 140. So that accounts for the reason why some of the students were not placed.
The other one is being discussed here with regards to day students being placed outside of their region. Doc was explaining earlier that they may have chosen thinking they will not be put there because maybe they live in Accra and they choose a day school in Wa. However, the computer doesn't seem to mind if you're in Wa, they choose you. I mean, are they putting any remedies to stop those from happening? Where?
Well, I found myself at the Independence Square. You need the arc of that particular Independence Square, where you had a lot of the students approaching the Ministry of Education with their concerns. And clearly, if I want to generalize, what happened at the Independence Square was that there were a number of the students who chose the schools without even knowing that indeed they've chosen the school. Put differently, much attention was not given to the schools that they chose, which means that at the time they did not consult very well, or even they did not even consult their parents, because some of them came with their parents, and there you see that the child will tell you, yes, I chose this school, but the parent will also tell you, I don't like this school for my child. However, as part of the policy guideline for the Ministry of Education, we put into consideration the particular junior high school that that child actually went to. So it is possible that you went to a junior high school in Santase in Kumasi, and in choosing your day school or a senior high school that is close to Santase, so you could have probably chosen Atase, where KSTS is located. So the system will take into consideration the junior high school that you went. However, some of the students also chose secondary schools that they thought that at the time that it will be having the senior high schools, they will be living with a particular relative. So 4 or 5 months back when I was to see the senior high school where I want to go, but have contemplated that this time around I want to have my senior high school with my auntie in another region without consulting your immediate parent or guardian, and it comes to be a problem. So these are some of the challenges that you've been facing when you generalize it. As far as I'm concerned, I sat at the Independence Square.
Okay, hold on. I think Kofi has a question for you.
Yeah, Vincent.
Right.
A quick one. You know, when we did our research, we realized that in schools like St. John's in Takoradi, for instance, there was a community of students living in the Adiembra area and then the Bakano area who were Form 1 students, 15, 16-year-olds living on their own in makeshift accommodation they called hostels without any form of supervision or control by the school. They found themselves there because, as you rightly said, they probably chose St. John's as a first or second choice, and then maybe St. John's actually made them. I mean, they couldn't get a boarding status at St. John's, so they ended up becoming day students. But we, as you are assuring us, my understanding is that you are assuring us that the computer now takes into cognizance, apart from the grades, the address of the student, so that the computer is not likely to place someone who lives in Elembele or Axim as a day student in St. John's in Takoradi, so that infant will not have to live alone in a hostel. Is that the assurance you are giving us?
That is how the policy guideline is supposed to be. However, there might be some fallout, which the Ministry of Education is committed in dealing with those fallout. That is why across the country, all the regional education centers of the Ghana Education Service are availing themselves to engage the general public, especially parents and students, for us to be able to deal with such challenges. Let me put on record again that it is not the intent of the Ministry of Education to post any child into a school that particular child did not choose. The reason why, when you choose any or all the 5 the choices that you chose, we give you another opportunity to, as it were, choose school your own choice.
Yeah, but Vincent, I'm not talking about
such issues.
I'm not talking about the child being placed in a school he or she didn't choose. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a child being made a day student in a school he or she chose outside the district that the child resides in. For that matter,
yes, that is
a child being placed there will become a day student.
That's an anomaly. So the Ministry of Education is ready to deal with such instances when we are approved. Because it is human beings who need the information. It is possible that some mistake have happened somewhere. So if we have a second look at them, find a way to deal with those situations. The reason why, again, across the country, we have centers across board at the various Ghana education services to make sure that we deal with such challenges.
Well, Doc, do you want to come in?
No, I mean, the point I just wanted to make is that some people select day schools because they have been asked. Of course, everybody has a chance of selecting one day school, and so because they do not want to become day students, or do not think that the day school they selected probably was a 5th choice, they are likely not to get to that school. They choose a day school probably far away from where they are, and then it turns out that that school is what they got. Okay. There are also instances where somebody wants to
be a border, they'll make you a day.
So, no, there are other instances where, say, I have my son in Accra, but I have relatives or families in, say, Kusimintim, and so I ask that the child choose Kosimitimi as a day student. So it is not always the case that the location is enough to determine whether the choice of the day student is good or bad. So that's the point I wanted.
Okay, let me take a quick break and I will come back and see how we can solve this issue. Well, thank you very much for staying, and it's interesting. I promised to get to the phones, but it's become so technical we can't even get to the phones. But you know, this conversation has just started. Do I still have Vincent on Skype?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, Vincent, do we have a categorization as in day hostel, i.e., some schools which are day schools and have hostels where the hostel belongs to a private individual? Is there a categorization like that?
Well, on the part of the Ministry of Education, we do not have anything like hostels for those students.
Okay. Okay, so it's either day boarding and then.
But Vincent, when you
if it's up to you, you can go and rent your own.
When you log on to the last year during the self-placement, okay, realize that during the self-placement, most of the schools that were remaining at the latter end, at the latter part of that process, were day schools and then day with hostels. And then when we followed that, realized that the day with hostel schools were day schools that had hostels not belonging to the hostels, had no connection to the day schools, no. But then there were hostels in town that you could rent.
Well, I think it's a choice.
That's why I was saying that.
That's a choice.
In the CSSPS, it was
not recognized.
It's not recognized
last year. So they had day schools, and then you see day with hostel. It was in the system last year.
It's not recognized. I mean, I've been going around collecting data, doing the categorization. I do day only, boarding only, day boarding, and when I request for the data, that's what I get in categories. I've never come across day hostel being part, because it's absolutely unacceptable.
That's the parents' choice.
To try to say that
you see,
we are adding officially day schools and make hostel at that young
The
age.
hostel is not for the school.
No, I'm saying that.
Yeah.
That categorization, as far as I know, because this is the 2018 school selection register, and you see the categorization in there throughout. I find it difficult to see how anybody would want to add hostel today, and I mean it doesn't. So that's where I think that if it happened last year, I didn't come across that last year.
In the system last year, there were day schools
like that this year.
I went to Water Region.
Have you seen any this year?
Have you seen anything this year?
Komboni. There were schools.
This year, has there been any?
I haven't done self-placement for anybody this year yet.
Let's say thank you very much to Vincent. Vincent, thanks a lot, and hopefully we'll come back to you again on this conversation. But with this hostel issue,
right.
Thank you so much. I speak for Ajana Senior Secondary Technical, because that's very close to the Republic. Now, Form 2, Form 3 before free SHS were about 300. That's Form 2, Form 3. The Form 1 that came in was 1,300. But the boarding house was flooded, and so every available space within the Dumasa and Ajana were full of students. I mean, so if you become very strict, and I was also concerned that look, they were unsupervised. What do? Stay at home, or unsupervised and go to school? I mean, now it looks as if we are solving a problem with a different problem.
Well, I mean, every policy intervention has unintended consequences, and that has to be mitigated as we go along. I should think that the whole boarding system may have to be relooked again, especially within the context of the free SHS program, and how much it imposes on our physical space. We may have to look at it. But if schools are available and the child has got admission to pursue a program in that school, the question then is whether or not that child should be denied access to education on the basis of where they are going to live. And previously, many years back, when private individuals or the private sector had not shown interest in putting up hostels. What parents did at the time was to ensure that they probably, if they have some relative somewhere, they have a conversation with, you go and live with your auntie. Because in Ghana, everybody is a family member, you know, wherever you find yourself, you are a family member to somebody else. And so we are closely related somehow. And so that was the arrangement some years back. And now, once the business opportunity is open and the private sector also take advantage of it. If you're a parent and you want that your child has got day school and you want them to go and live in a hostel, that's a responsibility of the parent to ensure that your child is in a safe custody, and then the activities and doings of the child is safeguarded. That is the responsibility of the parents to do that. But as far as the state is concerned, in respect of the boarding schools, they would have to ensure that the children who are sent to boarding schools have adequate facilities and resources to ensure that they are kept there.
Doc, you see, the state has a responsibility to take care of the child.
30 seconds.
Yes, it is the state's responsibility to ensure that policies fashioned take into consideration the best interest of the child. It is not the responsibility of the parents. So even if a child chooses Gushegu Senior High School as a third choice or fourth choice and makes a day, even though the child lives in Damango, and it so happens that the child has to be posted there because she didn't get a first, second, third choice, the state should not proceed to make that child a day student in Gushegu. Knowing very well that the child is 15 or 16.
So a parent has the primary responsibility of food, clothing, and shelter.
No,
can't take that away from the child. As for the enabling policy environment,
the child is owned by the state.
Thank you very much. But I need to see if I can get these gentlemen back in. And when I get them back in, we're looking at all these things, all these, plenty English that we are talking. We are training all these children in clerical and admin education, and they will come out and won't have any place to go and work. What's happening to the skills aspect of education? We'll look at that. And then also we want to look at what's happening once green track is at school, what happens to gold track? Once gold track is at school, what happens to green track? Is it going to affect quality? So I'll try and get them back in so we have a conversation along these lines. But it's 024-366-2001. 024-366-2001. That's Tanti's Fashions, and they make my shirts. So give them a call, big discounts, and get yourself a nice shirt. We'll be back to do this all over again. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you so much, gentlemen.
Yes, I'm sure.